Welcome back to Elevated Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Harris, aka John of Monarch Mentality Productions.
And I'm his co-host, Quilanda, aka Q of Q Up Productions. As well, again, welcome to another episode. And as you guys know on the podcast, we love to showcase creative entrepreneurs, artists, everybody who is talented that are taking their talents and skills to the next level and are elevating their creativity. And today's guest, what she's going to co-host with us is nothing short, nothing different. This beautiful young lady is a creative entrepreneur herself, and she has a lot of good things going on. So we're so excited to have Miss India on the show today. Welcome to the podcast, India.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about India. I'm going to read her bio, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to give her the floor to talk a little bit about her journey. So India is a native of Prince George's County, Maryland, by way of New Orleans, Louisiana. She is a graduate of Clark Atlanta University. Shout out to the HBCUs. And she is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and a trailblazing entrepreneur. Her brand, Mink'd Out Extensions, is a hair extension company that specializes in offering quality hair extensions at an affordable price. Since the start of her journey into the hair industry, she has gained notoriety and has gotten the approval of quality by many. She has been featured in Voyage ATL, Vogue, as well as numerous TV and music media. Above all of her talents and titles, her most favorite is Mommy. She is a mom to a baby girl and says that this is the reason for it all. She currently, when she's not building her empire, she is hitting the books and pursuing her PhD in Neurology at Baylor University. So without further ado, we are going to turn the floor over to Miss India. So India, if you could, because we know that was a lot. We always say, for one, because we have quality people on the podcast, you are no different and you wear a lot of hats. And so we're sure that your journey did not just happen overnight. So wherever you feel like you want to start in your journey to how you got your start to where you are and launching Mink'd Out Extensions, we want to just go ahead and give you the floor to kind of share that with the audience.
Okay, so thank you, first of all, again, for inviting me on the podcast and just wanting to even have the podcast to showcase entrepreneurs. I think that's a really dope thing. But for me, Mink'd Out Extensions was never, when I was younger, I was never like, I want to sell hair, or I want to have an empire, or I want to do any of those things. I always wanted to be a doctor. So since a child, like growing up, I always had just a passion for health, a passion for medicine. I think more than anything, just a passion for helping people in general. And I was always really good at school. So I just felt like, what profession could I do that would be able to sustain my family, make me make a living for my family and still be able to do something that I enjoy. And healthcare kind of was just something that was pressing for me. So I had a lot of internships at Clark. I majored in biology and kind of dual enrolled at Morehouse School of Medicine and got my master's in neuroscience, and then graduated and went on to Baylor to pursue my PhD in neurology. But something was always missing. Like I was always getting great grades. I was always doing internships. I was always a part of research projects, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I have always had a passion for beauty. I've always liked to get my hair done, my nails done, my makeup done. And I've always been just enticed by how African-American women can be with their general. That was something that always stuck out to me.
Oh, definitely.
And so recently with the pandemic and everything, I was a full-time teacher. So I was teaching 8th grade science with the Atlanta Public Schools. And once the pandemic happened, we transitioned to be 100% virtual. And at the time, my daughter was only 7 months. And so when I was at work, I was a teacher. And when I came home, I was mommy. And so it was difficult to kind of merge being that teacher and mommy at the same time. But I understood that I needed to have some sort of income to be able to take care of my daughter and to provide for her. And also, I was, missing a lot of her milestones because I was working 40 hours a week. So on top of working 40 hours a week, I'm still a student in school pursuing, my PhD. So it was really no downtime. It was really no time for me to take a minute and just breathe. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to do something that will allow me to not only be able to spend time with my daughter, allow me to spend time on my schoolwork. I need something that can help me create generational wealth. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So while I'm in school getting all these degrees, if I go today, my daughter can't have them. You know what I mean? That's not something that she can have. I need to create a business. I need to create something that I can pass down to her, something that a legacy. That was my whole thing, legacy. I need something that can belong to her. And that's kind of the whole idea behind Mink'd Out Extensions. It was never really about me. You know what I mean? It was never really like, because I was content being a teacher, making my money, going on about my business, being off on the weekends, not having to respond to no orders. No, you know what I mean? I'm here when I'm here. When I'm not, I'm not. Don't call me. Don't email me.
2 months off during the summertime.
2 months off during the summertime. Christmas, I'm off. Thanksgiving, I'm off.
Yeah.
And I know every 2 weeks that check is coming. And I know when tax season come, I get my write-offs, teacher tax credit. I was good with it. But when I had my daughter, I started to think a little bit differently. And I started to think about, how can I set her up so that she can do whatever it is she wants to do? Because for me, I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. My family is very by the book. So you go to school, you get an education, a good job. And so even with that, there wasn't really a lot of room for me to ever explore being an entrepreneur because that wasn't something that I was introduced to. But I knew that for my daughter, I wanted to create something that gave her options. So if she wanted to go to school, that's fine. If she wants to be an entrepreneur, that's fine. But we're not worried about, oh, we need to fill out FAFSA or else she doesn't have aid, she can't go. Or, oh, we don't have time to play around with petty cash to start a business because our money is tight. You know what I mean? So for me, that was the whole idea behind the brand. And I came up with Mink'd Out Extensions because I wanted to create a brand for women that was affordable but did not compromise quality. And being Atlanta's like Mecca of the world. You know what I mean? Like everything originates in Atlanta. We have some of the best hairstylists here, some of the best makeup artists here. People come to Atlanta to get their hair done. So what better place to start a hair company? And I mean, I started it 8 months ago, and I just remember my very first sale. Like I had a bundle sale, and I made my teaching salary, and I was like, wow. You know what? I'm resigning.
Yeah.
I'm out. And since then, it's just been such a blessing, so amazing for me to kind of even see, but even bigger, what it is that I believed in myself and what I could do, and I'm actually doing it. And I'm still in school, you know what I mean? I'm still pursuing my degree, but I'm building something that I can give to my daughter. And I'm creating a legacy. And even if it doesn't end here. Even if I don't make $1 million off of selling hair, I've learned how to run a business. And I've learned how, you know what I mean? I've learned how to create these avenues so that my daughter can have an opportunity to make whatever decision it is she wants to make and not be bound to one way. Because we all know there's many different routes to success, but a lot of times kids, and our kids, African-American kids especially, we don't have many avenues. We need to go to school. We got to contact FAFSA to go to school. You know what I mean? Or we playing sports to go to school. And I just know that I wanted a different life for my daughter. So that was the whole motivation behind the brand. That's still the same motivation behind the brand. And that's what makes me get up every day and give it 110%, because this is for her. You know what I mean?
Saying such a beautiful story and such a beautiful journey that you're on, India. And you said you dropped a lot of golden nuggets with your story.
Hey, some amazing golden nuggets. I had to reassess my questions.
Thank you. So John, I'm gonna let you go ahead because I know I introduced her and everything because I had some questions too, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and start.
So one of the questions, I know where you said you coming from Maryland and also coming from New Orleans. I want to know, like, how was it growing up in New Orleans and Maryland, and what was the contrast with style and fashion? Because I know those are two cultural, contrasting regions. So how was it like as far as you getting your own style? Because I know you're in Atlanta now, but how was it for you incorporating your own style coming from those ways? So you give us a little tip on growing up in Maryland and New Orleans, and also fashion and style in both of those regions.
Okay. So definitely culturally different. New Orleans is culturally, in my opinion, it's the most culturally rich city in the United States because you have jazz, blues, you have great music, you have French people, you have, Haitian people, you have all these different cultures of people in New Orleans. And New Orleans itself is just such a beautiful place to be. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever visited I don't know if you've ever visited New Orleans, but when you're there, it's just electric. You know what I mean? Like, you're just the music, the people, everything in New Orleans is just the food. Yes. Food. Everything in New Orleans is just, you just feel the energy in New Orleans. And being from New Orleans, it's just a different type of love that you have because you get to see the good and the bad. So whereas, as a tourist, you're in the French Quarter, you're on Bourbon Street, you good, you chilling. But you go to Holly Grove or Ninth Ward, and it's a whole different story. You know what I mean? And so just having those different contrasts in New Orleans, I think kind of prepared me for Maryland, which is a complete transition. Prince George's County is like the wealthiest African-American county in the world. So just being around all of those, successful and affluent African-American people was something I was new to seeing, because in New Orleans, we don't really see too much of that. You know what I mean? Like, we see people pop in and out. We have, those type of people pop in and out, but in Prince George's County, that's where you have your doctors, your lawyers, your politicians, your government officials, and they look like me and you. So me seeing that motivated me to want a different life, to want a better life, to want a life, you know what I mean, that I could travel the world and taste different foods and be diverse and understand different cultures and communities. Because in New Orleans, it's Creole people, it's French people, but baby, we all the same, so it's like, but in Maryland, you have different diverse groups because you're right next to Virginia, you're right next to DC, and then everything, everyone is in and out of Maryland because the White House is there, and it's just a different feel. And so with that translates into fashion in New Orleans. We still white
down
tea.
south.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's the dirty south. So
come on now.
Still, white tea, Mary St. Francis.
Soldiery box, soldieries.
Yes, exactly. But in Maryland, it's close to New York. So it's popping. The fashion in Maryland is ridiculous. And even now, living in Atlanta, Maryland and DC, Virginia are so pride in terms of fashion sense and trends and things like that, because of course it's the North. So for me, to answer your question, John, trying to figure out my own style was, I wouldn't say that it was difficult, but I just I liked what I liked. You know what I mean? I'm not really super fashion forward. My style is more like chic, you know what I mean? I'll throw on a hoodie or I might throw on heels. It just kind of depends. But it's just, I'm more like a how I feel in that moment type of thing. I'm definitely not wearing white tees and it's just, it's just kind of like a mixture of both. And in another thing in Maryland, you see it's just different because there are so many diverse groups, so many cultures, so many different types of people from different walks of life. You have people in the military that are stationed there. You have,
Mm-hmm.
people that are on internships, or you have au pairs that have come from Greece that are staying with a family for a couple of, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like stuff that you can see in New Orleans. And so it's definitely different. But in terms of fashion and figuring out what worked for me, I kind of just always wore what I felt was comfortable for me.
Okay.
And, like what kind of matched my mood or how I was feeling at that time. I
Mm-hmm.
went through this is embarrassing, an emo phase in high school where I wore black all the time, and I had black nails and black hair, and it was a hot mess express.
So do you think, coming from both of those spots, I mean, as far as New Orleans, and seeing like when the visitors come in and it's popping, like you said, like on Bourbon Street and everything, but then also being a native of New Orleans and seeing those places where like the authentic people are really from that spot, and it's a black community, and also seeing another affluent black community in Maryland, and just kind of like mixing the two and finding yourself as a collaborative, like melting pot of fashion and style.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what I would consider it to be, because it's two different ends of the spectrum. You know what I mean? So in Maryland, we got high fashion, because we're right next to New York. It's just a train ride to New York. So a lot of the trends that are, they consider New York the fashion capital, those trends, are going to trickle down to Maryland, trickle down to DC. In DC and Maryland, they have a lot of, Black owned clothing businesses and clothing brands. And it's just in terms of, even you could just compare the malls. You can go to the mall in New Orleans, you can go to the mall in DC, and the quality of clothes will be just a little bit different just because of the demographic that they're serving, and just DC, Maryland, Virginia is fast, so it's like fast fashion. In New Orleans, it's not like that. We just need a shirt, we need some jeans.
Nice and steady.
Yeah, we're going to eat some
India, I wanted to ask you a question, kind of, so rolling off of all of that, one of the things that you mentioned was how hair, which I know as a Black woman from Atlanta, living in Atlanta, is a big part of our culture here in the city. So how do you set yourself apart? For one, I want to just give you props for being a Black female entrepreneur who owns, an extension hairline, because that in itself is an accomplishment, because there's some other cultures out there that try to have it on lock. So whenever one of us could get our foot through the door, since we are the consumer, I want to applaud you on that.
Most definitely.
Yes. So how do you set yourself apart with Mink'd Out Extensions? Because I know you're all about quality and an affordable rate. So in addition to that, I'm sure it's pretty competitive being here in Atlanta specifically, even though I know you're online. But can you talk a little bit about, like, when you were launching the brand, some of the things that you had to do and incorporate to make yourself stand out?
Okay. So I really just had to consider what is in the market right now, what myself as a consumer, what I would like to see in the market, what's something that turns me away from a company, what makes me shop with a company. Is it shipping times? Is it response times? Is it, what's the price versus what's the quality that I'm getting? What is something that a company is not doing that I would like to see? And honestly, for me, it has been just being personable. Like, I'm a person. So when you're messaging me or when you're emailing me, it's not automated. I'm a real person emailing you. And of course, you know what I mean? There's policies and things like that. Like, we're not like homegirls up the street, but I do want you to know that I care about your order because you're spending your hard-earned money with me, because I was once a consumer. So I understand how that disconnect, especially in the hair industry, can be, because you order hair from companies, you don't hear back from them for weeks at a time. Or you book an appointment with somebody and you're texting them up until 5 minutes before your appointment about the address. And with Atlanta being such a hair mecca, we see that a lot here, because we have a lot of stylists here that are very talented. And with that, you know what I mean? You're having so many clients at a time. You're having so many people at a time. You can't give everybody 100%, but you can. And so that was my whole thing. You know what I mean? Everybody deserves 100% because everybody's money is green. So I'm not gonna shortchange you just because your order is $50 and her order is $350. It's the same respect either way, because you're taking the time out of the day to shop with me. And I think that has kind of worked with me because my customers always return. I have so many return customers. I have so many people that reach out to me on a day-to-day basis, like, hey, I love this wig. I don't know when I'll need another one, but thank you for the customer service. And to me, that's important. I can have 2 orders all day, but if those 2 customers are satisfied, I feel just as good as if I had 10 with unsatisfied customers. You know what I mean? And then another thing too that I offer that I don't see a lot of hair companies in Atlanta offering is pickup and delivery. So wherever you are, I'll bring it to you. If you're at the hair salon and the stylist miscounted and you actually need 3 bundles, okay, no problem, I'm on the way. You know what I mean?
That's like a concierge service almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Quality customer service. Look at that.
Convenience. It's convenience. You know what I mean? So
most definitely.
You just woke up this morning, oh my gosh, you had a hair emergency, you need a wig, I'm on the way. You know what I mean? So with that, people love convenience. And it's kind of allowed me to elevate my brand a little bit higher because I'm actually, you know, I'm out in hand meeting you with your order. You know, it's just more it's just more personable. I think just being a person is really kind of what helps me day to day with my business.
I mean, customer service goes a long way. Like John and I were actually talking about Chick-fil-A earlier today. And this podcast is not sponsored by Chick-fil-A, but throw that out there, unless they want to sponsor us. But we were just talking about how
thank you.
How you're not gonna go to Chick-fil-A and they're gonna be out of chicken, right? Like some other places, and how they really excel and prosper from their customer service. One, and they're not even open on Sundays. They're open. Go ahead.
I said, and also the adaptation, even in the pandemic. So even in the midst of a pandemic, it's like it could be 30 or 40 cars at Chick-fil-A, people coming outside, they got the fans outside. Hey, what's your order? By the time you don't even have to go in there, we touch it, sanitize, and let's keep going. And they know your name, so it is more personable, like you were just saying, as far as the customer service. It makes you feel special.
And even on top of that, whether I'm ordering a bottle of water from Chick-fil-A or a meal for 7 different people, my service is the same.
It's the same.
Most definitely.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I never feel like, okay, I'm bothering them. I never feel like, you know, I'm a burden on them. Actually, I feel like they want to sit and have a conversation with me, you know? So
India, I just want to ask you a question about that since we're speaking on customer service. What keeps your drive and your passion to stay going with customer service? And what I mean by that, like, let's just say as a waitress or a person that working at a bar, and they had a lot of like customers that weren't tipping, they coming in, they purchasing a lot of stuff, they got bad attitudes, everything. And here comes me, I want quality service. They like, oh, here he come. They already, you know, because you may have had previous bad experience with your prior customers, and now it's like, okay, I still gotta remain the same. I still gotta, no matter if you know who my customer is, I gotta still keep this high energy and good service. What makes you explain that process to me, if you could?
So again, like, everybody is an individual. You know what I mean? So just because Jasmine went off on me because her bundles got there at 5 p.m. opposed to 3 p.m., I'm not going to take that out on Tiana because they're 2 different people. And I understand people enough to know that a lot of times it's not personal. You know what I mean? A lot of times it's business. You could have spent your last $100 with me. I don't know what the circumstance was. You know what I mean? I don't know why you talking to me like this. I don't know why I don't work for UPS, but I do understand that when you're shopping with someone and you're spending your hard-earned money with someone, there is a level of responsibility and accountability that me as the business owner, I have to have. And without my customers, I'm nothing. You know what I mean? Without my customers,
come on now,
I'm just a girl with an LLC. That's not.
Come on now.
So I have to make sure that the people that are keeping these lights on are happy. You know what I mean? The people that are shopping with me, the people that are taking the time out, because like you said, there are a million hair companies in Atlanta. You could go spend your money anywhere. And the fact that you chose me is reason enough for me to treat you like an individual, because you're treating my business like an individual. You didn't come to me to tell me about your last terrible experience. You're not treating me like you know what I mean? So I think it's going back to just being personable and treating people like people, and understanding that sometimes you really don't understand what somebody's going through, and never to internalize it, because it's 9 times out of 10, it's not personal. And if it doesn't matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes on it.
Come on. Come on now.
Kind of what it is.
And that's hard sometimes, because,
it is.
you know, and I've been guilty of it too, where it's like, I'm probably having a bad day and I realize that I'm whatever, John.
I know that. Come on, Q.
But, you know, you might go into a store, or like John said, you might be interacting with a server or something, and you've already had a bad day that has nothing to do with that person. And I've been guilty of it. You know, you kind of take out your frustrations on that person, and then that person is probably going to take out their frustrations with you on the next person. So unfortunately, that negativity, you know, is like a cycle. It's like it just kind of flows and flows.
You know, you never know what somebody is going through, and somebody is always having a worse day than you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So while I may be upset that this lady cut me off in the Chick-fil-A line, this lady beside me just lost her job. And
yes,
so,
that's true.
you know what I mean? You can never really internalize or treat people, you know. No, I think I just try to live motto that you leave it at the door, because
most definitely,
you know, like you never really know. And it's hard to, it's easy to say and hard to do, because, you know, when things happen to us in life, like I can leave out of here today and get a flat tire and I'm like, oh my gosh, why me? But my neighbor across the street is losing her car. You know what I mean? It's like, that could be, oh my God, why me? And I'm, you know what, actually, I'm cool with the flat tire. I'm gonna fix the flat tire.
Always be worse. Yeah.
Exactly. So that kind of is, you know, how I try to handle interactions with customers and things like that, because you never know. You know, especially I started the business in the middle of the pandemic. I started in March. So
you just started your business in March?
Yeah, it's been
remember she said 8 months. Yeah,
I know. I just wanted to the listeners, like first of all, you dropping jewels, and I really understand, because, you know, it makes a lot of sense, and people don't really understand even the importance of like being personable, having charisma, and understanding like people. Because, for example, like I know I brought up the bartender and the waitress thing. I went out to a restaurant recently. I seen the guys that didn't tip. They was in there giving this person a hard time. My meal was so expensive. I had to tip her so good, because I said, can I get a water with no lemon? She already looked, I'm like, never mind. Look, I got you. Let me tip you. I cash out you real quick. I got you. I ain't one of them. Because I understand people, like people. It's still business, and we can't hold our emotions on our sleeve. And I think that's amazing, of like how you keep that same quality, whether they ordering like you said, this much like so many bundles, or if they just ordering a single product. And I think that's amazing. I want to ask you a question while we're still at the topic, the top of this conversation. Where did you come up with the name of your company, and like what inspired the name of, you know, of that company?
Okay, so let's start with the logo. So if you've seen the logo, it's neon pink, it's bright flashing lights. To me, that just exudes femininity, and just being and just being unapologetically a woman. I'm bright, you see me, I'm not apologizing for that. I'm here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the whole minked out, when I hear the word mink, I think mink coat. I think like, you know, echelon, like, you know, it's top of the top. Okay. And so to be minked out is to be just that, but nobody can judge that but you. You get what I'm saying? So it's not even like a status quo. It's not even like, oh, she thinks she minked out. No, I know I'm minked out. I know I'm upper echelon. I know I'm top of the top. I know this is the top floor. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I got the name from. Just thinking, you know, the word mink, and just being, you know, chic and classy. And then to me, it's very girly. Like, I'm minked out. You know? I just got minked out. And then, you know, so that kind of was the whole inspiration behind the logo, the brand, the colors, even the branding. I don't know if you guys were able to get a chance to like check out the website and the Instagram, but the branding is consistent in that. It's very
Most definitely.
unapologetically feminine, like, you know,
Yeah.
and, you
And
know,
that was one of the things that attracted me, like when we were messaging with each other. And of course, I was like on your Instagram page, on your site, and with the links you sent. And I love that when a creative entrepreneur like yourself has a brand, and it makes you feel that it's inviting. You know what I'm saying?
Most
Like
definitely.
your brand is very inviting. And so it's like it makes you want to purchase. It makes you want to get the hair so you can just, like you said, feel me.
Now,
Right.
and Q, I understand, like you said, like when people they want to embody, that's why we follow like company brands. Like if you put on, you know, this fashion brand or this fashion brand, and you spend all this money, it makes you feel regal or feel like, okay, I got this on. So the
Yeah.
same thing with your product, because I was going to name drop, but I don't want to name drop companies, but most definitely, like when you put on certain products, it gives you a certain exude a certain confidence as well. Welcome back with the Elevated Creativity Podcast, and like we're featuring the lovely India Mason. We talked about the pluses and some of the good qualities of having and owning a business, as far as like the highs in the business. But let's talk about the trials and the tribulations of owning your own business and some of the lows and things that you actually experience with the audience.
so the funny thing about social media and entrepreneurship is that nobody really ever shows you the low moments. Like you're think about an Instagram profile, these are highlights. So the things that are being brought forth to you on this app are the highs of the highs. And
Mm-hmm.
so as an entrepreneur, you may see someone else's business and it looks like it's always booming and it's always thriving. And what am I doing wrong? And why is my business not
Wow.
going this way? And why am I experiencing these things? And so that can translate to self-doubt, because it's like, you know what, I have a business, she has a business, but it seems like her business is always popping and mine is not. That may not be the case. You're just looking at her highlights. And
Most
so
definitely.
the ugly truth about entrepreneurship is that you have equally just as many hard days as you have good days. Because whereas if you're working for a company, if you're working for a business, the blueprint is already created for you. So you start a job, they train you on how to do it because it's already been done. Entrepreneurship is so different because you are the blueprint. You are creating the blueprint. So
Yeah.
you have to go through these things, these
Trailblazing.
tribulations, so that you can say, okay, well, that doesn't work that way. But you only know that doesn't work that way is if you've tried it and it's failed, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's, I think for me, a really big part of being an entrepreneur has been learning to accept the fact that it's not always going to be a good day. Because as someone that's always just been straight to the books, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to be a doctor. I know that if I study, there's no way I can't pass this test. I know that if I pay attention in class, there's no way I can grasp this information. And entrepreneurship is so different because I can do everything at least everything I think is how it should be done, and still have a very different outcome. And it's just kind of relearning that system and relearning that somebody had to invent the wheel that you were on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Working and going
Yes.
to school. Somebody had to fail. Entrepreneurship, I'm building my own hamster wheel. And so I'm gonna have times when I fall off the wheel. I'm gonna have times when the wheel is halfway up. I'm gonna have times when I'm tired and I don't want to go anymore, but I'm the one creating the wheel. So if at
Most
any
definitely.
given point I decide that I don't want to do this anymore, that wheel is gone. You know what I mean? Whereas if I quit a job, that company is still there. Why? Because the person that started that company rode that wheel. You know what I mean? They didn't stop. They didn't
So,
stop. They brought someone else on the wheel with them.
mhm.
You know what I mean? So I think that it's not easy. You have hard days, you have bad days, but I think it's the passion, the why, the dedication, and it's who you are as a person. Like everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not meant to work for someone. Everybody's not meant to, you know what I mean? But you just find your reason, your passion, your why, and that, in my opinion, will fuel you when it gets difficult.
Okay, so you just led right into my next question, and that was amazing. I mean, because first and foremost, a lot like you said, when you look at social media is kind of it's kind of intimidating to certain people because you only see that moment in time, and that moment equates to a minute. When you look at like the Instagram, the story, you see the little minute, they're gonna highlight and showcase their best moment, or they took 1,000 pictures, but they can say, I don't want to use this one. You only see that perfect moment. But we were speaking earlier. I know you was talking about why you started the company, and and even being an educated woman like you are, you talked about actually leaving a legacy for your child, for your daughter. And my question now is, since you just talked about the trials and tribulations, how important is it for, or how can I say this? How important is it to have predecessors? Like for your daughter, for her to even know about entrepreneurship, and for her to even know about starting a business, even if that's one of her options, to just start a business or either take over the business, she has to see a somebody who preceded her and showing, like being that trailblazer. But how do you feel what is the importance of that?
It's extremely important. When you think about, even look at our country right now, without Barack, it wouldn't be Kamala. You know what I mean? Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to be the first person to show that it could be done. Because without that, we just, you know what I mean? We just shooting in an empty room. Like, and I think that it's extremely important, especially to be intentional. Like for me, myself, having a young child, be intentional in showing her the things that are accessible to her. There's nothing you can't do. The world is at your fingertips. You go out and do it. If you want to do it, you do it. And we figure out everything else on the back end. But I don't ever want you to think that there's nothing that you can't do, because you can put your mind to something. You can create a company. You can create a brand. You can leave your $60,000 salary paying job, because you can make that in a month if you put your mind to it, because it's been done. You know what I mean? And there's nothing that's written that says we can't be millionaires. There's nothing that's written that says we can't leave a legacy. There's nothing that's written that says that I can't be everything that I want to be. The only person that can stop me is me. And I think that that's important for her to know and important for her to understand. And whichever avenue she chooses, she can decide she wants to be a professional tap dancer. And guess what? Mommy's front row. You know what I mean?
Come on now.
Because 110%, you give 110% to something, I'm behind you 110%. But I need you to know that there's no limits. I need you to know that you don't have to go and get this job because mommy can't pay for school, so I gotta work here, and I'm just trying to know, we're not trying to make ends meet. We're building legacies. That's it. Yeah. Because the only person that's stopping us from doing that is ourselves, because we've been socially bound and constructed to believe that that's not who we are, and it's exactly who we are. So that, to me, that it's extremely important to have predecessors. You know, it's extremely important to understand that it can be done, because
to visualize it too, right? So they actually see it. So
feel it, be it, see it, become it. It's you. It's in you. They got it in you and not on you. I say that all the time. Like,
come on now.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
So, I'm gonna let Q ask the rest of the questions, but you kind of like sparked the flame, because you said the exact same. I was having a conversation. It was kind of like low-key barbershop talk. And we talked about that. And I tell people, I'm like, come on now, you got a computer in your pocket. You can hit Google button on there, and shout out to Google as well too. They're not sponsoring us, but yeah, you can hit the Google button and say, how many miles is it from Georgia to the moon? You're like, Google it and give you the answer in 2 seconds, not even a second. Yeah. I mean, it's right there. Anything you want to know, you have the access. So we need to focus on what matters. We need to focus on things that we're talking about generational wealth, and we're talking about building our communities, and we're talking about showing these kids a more positive image, and also controlling our narrative as far as like who we are as people. But you answered that so well, and I appreciate that.
And I really appreciate that question, those questions, because I'm young, you know what I mean? So I understand that social media and the pressures of social media, we need to look this way. We need to do this. We need to drive this car. We need to work at this place. You need to do what works for you, because that's what's going, you can't be nobody but yourself. You got to be the best you.
And don't say your age, because that's not important, but I want to just say, being a young person, y'all have a stigma. Y'all actually been actually stigmatized with a certain I mean, it's not too good. Somebody tell me at age, I'm walking out there. I'm like, how? Let me go here. I already know. I know something. I don't want to smoke. I ain't ready for it. I'm ready to go ahead, go the opposite direction. But hearing you, I want to congratulate you and give you accolades as far as like not only being intelligent, having passion, pursuing your passion, and just the work and the drive. And I don't want to fall into the stereotypical box of saying young people don't want to work. You know, so it was about to roll out to my tongue on accident, but
it's true.
I didn't want to say that. I'm not gonna say that because I don't want the comments. You know, they gonna come at me. They gonna be like,
but that's what sets you apart, and it's
you are going.
Yeah, it's the fact that you are young, like John was saying, within that generation, but you don't let that define you. Kind of like how earlier when you were talking about fashion, you know, and fashion sense, and how you don't necessarily let that define you. You make your own path. You do what you want to do. And I think I can see that in you. It's the same thing with your career path. And talking about, you know, your daughter and you being a mom and leaving a legacy for her, I can see how, and the audience can see as well, how that's such an important part of your path. And so with that being said, India, can you talk a little bit about, because a lot of times women are stigmatized, right? So where it's like you have to choose either between your career or being a mom, or going to school or working full time, or going to school or taking care of your kids. It's almost like we always are kind of put in a box to where you can't balance everything. And we know it's not always easy. Nobody's saying it is, but I'm one of those people, I feel like it is possible. And you are a beautiful example to the testament that is very possible. And of course, like you said before, it's not always easy. It's not always glamorous. So can you talk a little bit about how you are able to balance? Because I know you said, you know, you have more flexibility with your schedule because you're not working 40 hours a week full time, but yet entrepreneurship.
Is she working hard?
Yeah, that's 24/7. Like
24/7.
Even when you think you're clocked out, you're still on the clock with your business because things come up. Yeah. So how do you balance and handle, you know, because I'm not going to sit up here and act like it's not possible. I know it's very possible, but for inspiring, for mothers out there who may be wanting to start a business or may feel like they can't do it or it's hard, can you give some encouragement and talk a little bit about how you're able to balance both?
So for me, I'm not going to lie, it's difficult. So for everybody listening, I don't want to sit here and make it seem like it's easy peasy, 1, 2, 3, start a business and life is lit. No.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult. But at the end of the day, it's sacrifice. It's a choice. Do I want to make somebody else's dream continue to come true, or do I want to take my time and invest it into my own dream? Because time is the most valuable thing. We don't have time. I can get as much money as I want. You know what I'm saying? I can make as much money as I want, but I'm on borrowed time right now. So I can't give you 8 hours of my day and then come home and be a mom and go to sleep and wake up and give you 8 more hours of my day, because I can give those 8 hours to myself. You know what I mean? I can be investing in myself and putting that time into my, like, you know, you put in 100, you get that back. I may put in 100 on Monday, may not get 100 back till Friday, but I'm still getting 100 back. I go put in 40 hours at a job, I didn't get any of that back. The only thing I got back was a $1,200 paycheck. You get what I'm saying? I didn't get that time back. That time didn't come back to me. That time is gone. And I think for any mother out there that wants to start a business and that wants to, you know, pursue entrepreneurship, the biggest thing that I can say is just do it. Because we can sit and write down reasons why it won't work all day long. All day long, I can sit and say, well, I don't have the money for it. I don't have the time for it. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to make a website. I don't know how to get a logo. I don't know how to work social media. I don't have, and you just gave yourself 10 reasons why you don't believe in yourself. So do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in your business? Do you believe in your brand? Okay, well then understand that it's not going to be easy. But just like, for example, if I'm working at McDonald's, this was somebody's dream. So every time I punch in an order on a computer, every time I sweep the floor, this is somebody else's dream that I'm perpetuating. And even if I am working at McDonald's, on my break, I'm researching stuff for my business. And I'm never a person that's like, quit your job, go full force and be an entrepreneur, because no, you use your 9 to 5 to fund that business. Gotta give yourself 8 hours out the day. Even if I'm tired, even if I'm sleepy, when I get home, I'm a dedicated to my business. because at the end of the day, my business is going to take me far longer than me sitting and working for somebody else's dream. It's all about a plan. It's all about being intentional. You have to be intentional with the things that you want in your life. You got to write it down. You got to have a plan. You got to figure out how you're going to get there. And it's not, and figuring out where you want to go is the easy part. It's how you going to get there. That's the hard part. And sometimes on my journey, it may be me working at McDonald's, but I'm never losing sight of the goal at the end. So even while I'm here working at McDonald's, I'm passionate about my business still. I'm not going to McDonald's and working 8 hours and then burnt out, come home, I'm just going to sleep, because the only person I'm cheating is myself. McDonald's got their time out of me. They got their time. They got their 8 hours today. Right. I need to be able to devote that same time to myself. And I think just being a mother, it's just, it just, for me personally, it just makes the hustle a little different. You know what I mean? It just makes it a little bit different. It's not like I'm doing this for riches or anything like that. Like, my sole purpose is just, even if this don't do nothing but show my daughter she can wear purple hair and that's okay, I'm okay with that, because that in itself is you being unapologetically you, and that's going to take you far, in my opinion.
Okay, let me ask you one more question. I know we're talking about your company and your business. When did you start this other business, creating time machines? Because you sound like you done been here before. You dropped, man, I was about to say something about 2 or 3 times. I'm like, what in the world? This sounds like this some wisdom. I know with age comes wisdom. Because first, don't tell your age. You look you like the fountain of youth already, but I'm like, good gracious, you dropping some jewels. Somebody need to get a duffel bag and pick this up. I don't need the Georgia lottery. Good gracious. Now that makes sense, because man, people need to hear it. These folks need to work. These people need to put your passion where it matters. We do everything else, building yourself. But let me tell you something real quick. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You helping everybody. What your juice at? You don't have none. You have to fulfill yourself to be fulfillment to somebody else. And I tell people quick, now I hate to say it like that, because you done kind of took my professionality out of here real quick. Once my cup is overflown because I filled mine to the rim, you catch some of this drip now. I hope you got a salsa. Catch some of this drip, but I can't take away from myself, because you said something that's so prolific. And the prolific thing that you said was time. You could never get time back. You can have $1 million and get $1 million back, but you cannot get time back. So you wasted time with people playing, joking, kicking the bobo with these folks. That's not going to work. And I want to say something in the base. Let me get back in my professional. Let me take John out and put Jonathan back in here. Come on now. That was amazing. And I really appreciate you sharing this with the audience, because it makes a lot of sense. And to hear somebody from, all different genres and walks of life, like you show, like nobody can't say, I know I'm from Georgia, Q from Georgia. We from the South, so we know Mississippi, Alabama, New Orleans. We know that. I'm in Tennessee. I know the South. And we have a stigma being below the Mason-Dixon line. So when you're showcasing Maryland and New Orleans and being for real now, I'm not going to say you know how to code switch, but if I could bet $1 on it, I know you know how to code switch now. Because I heard you say, you like, baby. I said, all right now, come on now. Right. And you look low-key Creole, all due respect, we both halfway look Creole. But with that being said, you know how to take it there, and you can show people there's a time for business, there's a time to play. You can kick it a little bit. Okay, yeah, we kick it high. But when you have to go there, hey, how you doing? This is so-and-so. Customer service, I got to jump in there, and people got to see that dynamic range that you have. And I want to commend you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And one thing, a consistent theme that I see and that I hear in everything that you said tonight is discipline. It takes a lot of discipline, and we really want to drive home that idea and that fact to our listeners, to aspiring creative entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in general, because like you said, India, when you're on someone else's company time and their job, you do what you do, you get paid. But when you're an entrepreneur and when you're your own boss and you're setting your own schedule, it's up to you. If you don't work, you don't eat.
Come on, if you don't grind, you don't shine. Come on,
you don't grind, you don't shine. And like I say to John all the time, time equals money.
Right.
And you need to start, not you, but just like people need to start
Mhm.
living like that and know that your time is valuable. And so everything that you do, you should equate to, okay, how could I be getting paid from this? And not saying be so focused and driven by the money, but as an entrepreneur, you need to think outside of the box. So not just,
Value.
But not even like you're saying, like, how do I get paid from this? But
Mhm,
pay doesn't always have to be monetarily. It could be how
exactly.
mentorship or networking, or you're
Marketing.
telling something, right. You're telling
Experience.
me something that didn't work for you in your business that I can use in my business. And I think the biggest thing of it all is, one of my favorite quotes is from a children's book, is Dr. Seuss. I remember it, my 5th grade teacher, Miss Campbell, always used to tell me this. You can't be afraid. Like, it's a Dr. Seuss book, and it's like they're on a cliff, and it's like, well, just take the flight. He's like, well, what if I fall? But what if you fly? You know what I'm saying? So that's like a great gamble. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? You can't live stagnant. You can't live in just right now. You can't get caught up in right now, because it's never really about you. Like, this is not about me. This is about the people that came before me and the people that's gonna come after me. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing it for. That's the foundation that we're laying today. That and just like you said, like, even in my generation, that's not normalized. We're very like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. I'm not working.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. If it doesn't make sense to me right now, I don't care about it 5 years from now. And I think that we got to get out of that, because we're going to always work for somebody else with that mindset. You know what I mean? We're always going to find ourselves back at square one with that mindset. Why? Because you didn't put the work in on the back end. So now you see everybody on the front end that was working on the back end, and now you're working for them, but y'all started in the same place. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to keep it real with yourself about and be intentional about your goals and your dreams, and give yourself just as much as you give these companies that you work for, because you deserve just that much. You wake up, you have a job, you supposed to be there at 7:00 in the morning, you there at 7:00 in the morning. So why is it that if you saying I got to work for myself at 5 p.m., you tired, you sleepy, you're not gonna do it? Well, if you tired and sleepy and not gonna do it, then don't do it. You know what I mean?
Say it loud, because I want a specific person to hear this. And I'm not gonna say their name. If you get up for these people coming, you heard them rushing, you about to fumble walking through the door, trying to swipe your bag.
You made your whole day messed up. Your whole day messed up because you late to these people company.
Yeah, do that to yours. You can't. You got to get up and grind. You can't be like, oh well, I get up and do my. No, you got to. I'm tired, but oh well.
And not even the same energy, more energy.
Right.
Yes, it's you, because you don't feel it's subconscious. You don't feel the importance of yourself. Because that's why you don't put.
Because we've been conditioned to believe that if somebody is not telling me to do something, then it must not be right. If I'm thinking, we've been conditioned to believe that these thoughts that I'm thinking in my head are absurd. I can't do this. This is crazy. I'm not supposed to be an entrepreneur, a millionaire. Me, how could I do that? Why you can't?
But you know what else? What else also, Andy, and I'm not gonna talk all day. It's more satisfying to make and earn $1 million than somebody just giving it to you. Because when you just hit the lotto, you never had it before. Okay, I made some money. You go, yo, I'm gonna buy my mama house, do this. You back broke. But when you understand them blood, sweat, and tears, and you've been on your knuckles, and you're on your knuckles, man, like you done seen you see the mountain tops, but you down in the valley lows. Your knuckles hitting the pavement. You like, man, I gotta do this. What am I gonna do? And you finally made it out that ravine that you in, and you finally catch a little breath. You above sea level. It's so refreshing, because you're like, man, I don't want to go back down there again.
And it means so much more, more valuable.
Come on now.
And if somebody gives you $1 million, you're going to lose it and not know how to get it back.
Thank you. Come on now. Come on.
One and done.
You're going to get it back every time. That's why you have people that work for $1 million, billion-dollar companies like Target and don't have the first idea of how they're doing it. You work in this place every day. You know,
they don't know how to buy stock from Target. They like, what?
Right. So exactly what you said. It's different when you're getting it yourself, because you lose it today, you can get it right back, because you put in that work. You know what I mean? Whereas if I give you $1 million, you're not gonna spend it the same. You're not gonna treat it the same, you're not gonna value it the same, and if you lose it, it's gone because you don't know how to get it. You know what I mean? So that, and I think that's back to your point, John, when you're talking about my generation. It's a lot of it is given to us. A lot of it is given to us. And so, and when it's not given to us, we're in a frenzy because we never really had to get it on our own.
Yeah.
And it's also false gratification. Because you see something on social media and you just feel like you want to do it, but we really appreciate all of this this information.
And India, I think this is the perfect opportunity for you. Like, we know you're happy to be here, but trust me, me and John are like so thankful to have you on this episode. Like, this is so good.
And so I really appreciate it so much.
Yes, for sure. So can you please let the audience know how they can follow you, how they can support, how they can purchase from you? We want you to plug everything, your website, social media handles, all of that. And even if, for example, I don't know if you're open to mentorship or anything like that, because to me, I think the way to kind of curve, we may not be able to completely solve, but kind of curve, the issues with your generation. Everybody always has issues with their generation, but it just takes one. If you just reach that one other person your age or a little bit younger, to kind of take under your wing and kind of guide them and show them. So yeah, just plug your website and social media and all of that stuff, how people can follow you, find you, and support you.
Okay, so online you can follow us on Facebook. It's Got Mink'd. The website is www.gotmink'd.com. The Instagram is @Mink'd Out Extensions, and that's MINKDOUT Extensions. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm always interested in meeting new people, always interested in networking, because I know I don't know everything, and I know that I don't even know half of what I could know. So I'm a student first. And you know what I mean? I even just being on the podcast with y'all, I've learned so much. And I'm just so grateful again for even the opportunity, for you guys even bringing me on and wanting to hear my story. So thank you so much for that.
And thank you so much for being a part of our podcast and also sharing this phenomenal information to array of demographics. And just for the audience as well too. I don't want to feel like we saying generations, because I'm in your generation too. I'm just at the cusp. They pushing me out the door, but I'm still in the generation as well.
John, you are not in her generation. You're not even in my generation.
No. Hold on. Watch this. Hold on. Now. I don't want to be, because I like to be. I'm with the cool fellas. But what I was gonna say is this. Somebody told me, they said, you still typically, because you 80s baby, at this part, you generation this. I'm like, nah. But they were like, yeah, the same guys hanging outside the gas station, but they paying second. That's your generation. I was like, man, I'm about to go. But I feel you. But yeah, most shout out India, and it's for everybody, all of us, and we actually bridge the gaps for everybody. And we just say not generation, but just age range. And we'll just bridge the gaps, and it's amazing. And thank you again for being a part of this part.
Yeah, and guys, again, make sure you follow India. Make sure you subscribe. Well, just make sure you follow her.
Subscribe to y'all YouTube for sure.
There you go. Thank you, girl. See, we're gonna make her a co-host for real.
Hey, so India gonna have to come back too. So, and as you guys know, Sharon. So it's free to share, just hit the button or whatever, that's it. Like I said, y'all had those long rides to work, cut the podcast on. You don't want to hear all the perils and the dismal secular world we live in, man. Just put on something positive. You can listen to India, you can listen to all our amazing guests that we had on. Shout out to the guests, and just come ride out. Go ahead to work, and it make you think about being an entrepreneur, think of a new idea. So there you go.
Elevating that creativity. All right,
come on
guys.
Now.
So we will catch you next time on the Elevated Creativity Podcast.
Most definitely.